What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Homie Hangout, where we help others move in excellence. As a lot of you guys know, since around 2012, I've been working in the defense field on gang cases ranging from federal RICO indictments to state cases here in California to immigration cases around the country, all of which having to do with gangs or hood stuff to some degree. And so I looked at this Young Thug case, this YSL indictment, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it. There's some confusion. It is not a federal case. A lot of times we hear RICO and we think it's a federal case. It's not. Most states have their own version of RICO laws. And so these guys are charged under the RICO laws of the state of Georgia, and they're charged under the gang laws in the state of Georgia. And really, without the gang laws, the RICO case kind of goes out the window. So what I'm going to do is run through briefly the gang laws in Georgia, the conspiracy law in Georgia, the RICO stuff in Georgia, some kind of possible defenses against that. And then I'm going to go through the charges in the indictment that I think put Young Thug in the worst position. And it's not his rap lyrics. It's not his social media post. That stuff is sensational for the media, and it feeds a narrative, and a true narrative, right? In terms of rappers not having the freedom of artistic expression the way that other genres do. You know, you listen to country music, you listen to rock music, they talk about things, whether illegal or not. And nobody expects that they're actually doing a lot of the stuff that they talk about. But rap music is viewed as just autobiographical, right? And these folks talk about the same stuff all the time. Why would they talk about it if they weren't living it? They say they're living it. And I'll touch on more of that at the end. But let's get into the substance of this, right? So Georgia's gang laws. A criminal gang activity in Georgia is doing, trying, planning, asking, forcing, or paying for any of a whole bunch of crimes, ranging from like stealing music to murder to perjury and bad checks and everything else. So I'm going to put all that in a category called gang shit, okay? And then a criminal street gang is 3 or more people that do gang shit. And those 3 are joined by, and this is where Georgia is a little rougher than other states in terms of how loose they are with what's a gang. It's not surprising, they're in the South, but so those 3 or more joined by common clothes, behaviors, symbol, number, tattoos, graffiti, name, common activities, common customs. And so that's a wide net, right? And because of that wide net, it would be pretty hard to argue that YSL, whether you think of it as Young Stoner Life or Young Slime Life or whatever, is a gang under Georgia law. I'm not saying that I think they're a gang. I'm just saying that under Georgia law, it's pretty difficult to make an argument that they're not, right? And then it's also difficult to say that Young Thug is not the founder or at least one of the co-founders of that, considering it is his record label, right? And so what does, what is a violation of the law, right? What are the crimes you could be committed of? So anybody associated with gang that does gang shit is 5 to 15 years in prison, $10,000 to $15,000 fine. But those that do crimes to get into a gang, 5 to 15 years in prison, $10,000 to $15,000 fine. You can't get anything, whether it's money or property or anything of that sort that comes directly or indirectly from folks doing gang shit. And same thing for that one, 5 to 15 years, $10,000 to $15,000 fine. To lead a gang and either directly or indirectly conspire to do gang shit, 10 years. And I'm gonna break down what conspire means in Georgia. And what they mean by directly or indirectly is you don't have to say it. Right? I don't have to say, hey, go whack that DO, right? If I say, man, there goes that DO, and I'm some type of a leader, and we both know that DOs aren't welcome, right? Dropouts aren't welcome, and that dropouts need to be attacked on site. If we have that mutual understanding, I don't have to tell you, go whack that dropout, right? But if you go do it, that's me indirectly conspiring to do what you just did. And so you can't ask or force anybody to associate with or be a member of or do gang shit, and then you can't punk or harm or harass or punish or, threaten or anything like that, people or their families into doing what you want them to do, right? Committing crimes or not working with police or whatever the case may be. So conspiracy, right, under Georgia law requires 2 or more people, right? So gang law is 3 or more, but conspiracy requires 2 or more people, and you conspire to commit a crime. Conspire means that you come to some type of an agreement. It doesn't have to be an official agreement. It can just be kind of an understanding, right? And then that at least one person commits some kind of overt act, some type of intentional thing that's going to further the conspiracy, right? That's going to advance our goal that we just agreed to have, right? And that act doesn't have to be illegal, okay? It can be perfectly legal, but if it's done in the context of advancing our plan to do something illegal, then we have the conspiracy. So for example, if I rent a car and I let you go drive the car so that you can go shoot somebody, renting the car is not illegal, right? I have not done anything illegal, but I have conspired with you, and I'm now responsible for what you did, because if we had some understanding before that, then we're in conspiracy. So it doesn't matter if you're the one that created the conspiracy or you're one of the people that created it. It doesn't matter, you came along later. It doesn't matter if there's no direct evidence of this agreement. You can use circumstantial evidence in Georgia to prove a conspiracy. It doesn't matter if you didn't do the crime, right? If you conspired, but you didn't do it, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's impossible to do, right? If we conspire to get guns and get on a plane and go to New York and pull a pistol on somebody and rob the New York Stock Exchange, any reasonable person would say that ain't gonna happen, right? But if that's what we conspire to do, we can be found guilty of that. It doesn't matter that it ain't gonna happen. What are some of the defenses against conspiracy? That there's no agreement, right? Maybe we both agree we need to get money. I want to rob a bank. You want to rob a house, right? So we haven't agreed. Or I want to rob a bank, but I want to rob the Brinks truck, and you want to go in and make everybody lay down and try to get the safe. And when we part ways, we're not in agreement on what's going to happen. So even though we agreed to do a crime to get money, we didn't really agree on how we were going to do that, right? Acted alone. So maybe we did agree, right? We agree that we're going to lay everybody down, but we don't talk about the plan. Only I come up with the plan, right? I come up with the plan. It doesn't go any further than the plan. You don't necessarily know about the plan, and you haven't done anything to further, our agenda. Then you can claim, hey, we talked about it, but that fool's the only one that actually did anything about it. And then obviously the I quit, right? So you're a part of the conspiracy, but then you call the cops or you do something to intentionally break up the plan or whatever, then they give you a pass. And so with the RICO law in Georgia, and first let me define a couple terms for you real quick so that the rest of it is a little easier to understand. But enterprise is a group, whether legally recognized or unofficial or illegal, that are united around a common goal. And that could be an enterprise, that can be any goal, right? Racketeering is doing or trying or ask someone else to do any 2 crimes out of a list of 40-something crimes, which are kind of similar to the gang crimes, right? And so that's, like I said, bootlegging music to murder. So we're just gonna call that gang shit, right? So doing, trying, or asking someone else to do any 2 things that are considered gang shit under the law. And those things are called predicate acts, right? Those things are the things that you have to do to rise to the level of RICO, right? If you only do 1, then you're not RICO. You may have broke the law, but you're not in the RICO area. So pattern of racketeering, at least 2 racketeering things, right? To accomplish at least 1 goal that you guys have set out. And that goal has to have some kind of similar purpose or targets or people involved or whatever. It has to be connected, right? The goal has to be connected. And it can't be an isolated thing. So let's say there's 5 people, right? And they all decide, man, we got to get money right now. Okay. And one person's going to rob somebody at ATM, and another person's going to break into a house, and another person's going to steal a car, and another person is going to sell some drugs, and then somebody else is going to write a bad check, right? Let's say, so that 5 people now, there's a pattern. They're all going to do something, right? If that's all they do, then it's still not technically RICO because they haven't done 2 acts, but that puts them in that element, right? Now, if the dude who writes the bad check is able to write the bad check because he robbed a bank 10 years ago, and that's where he gets that from, that bank robbery doesn't get folded in because that bank robbery is an isolated incident. He didn't do that with anyone else to achieve some common goal, right? And so these guys have a goal to get money today. He did something to get money a long time ago, but it ain't got nothing to do with what's going on now. So if a defendant commits 2 or more predicate crimes, right? So 2 or more crimes that are considered gang shit, and that gang shit is committed as a part of an enterprise, in this case, let's say a gang, that engages in a pattern of racketeering, right? That has at least done 2 things that are gang shit for the same goal. And either one or more of those things form the pattern, right? That allowed you to get some type of control over the gang, or property from it, or money from it, or some benefit from it. And then there's another one that doesn't really apply about, you're kind of on the payroll. So what happens, right? What happens if you get found guilty under RICO in Georgia? 5 to 20 years in prison, a fine, or both. So one or the other or both. The fine can be $25,000 or up to 3 times what they say you got off your scheme, off your goal, whichever's more. And then, everything, anything that you got, illegally gotten gains, they call it, right, can all be taken by the government, and you just sit out of luck. So what are some of the defenses against a RICO charge? That there's not a pattern, right? And so let's say, again, you got 5 people living in a trap house. Each of them has their own illegal hustle, right? Which is gang shit. Each one of those things is gang shit, racketeering type cases. And they all know that the other ones are doing what they're doing. But if they're not committing their crimes together, and if they're not sharing like the proceeds or whatever, then that's not a pattern of behavior to advance some common goal. That's just 5 people that are all engaged in their own illegal activity. Okay. So there's also the case where if you're accused, but you didn't do 2 acts. So same 5 people that all got their own hustle, right? And now they do decide they have a common goal, and their common goal is to cash out for a big house. They want to get out of the trap house and go live, on the hill. So that's their goal. That's their scheme, right? But one of them, Joe, has really only robbed 1 person, and he put that money in the pot. But that's the only thing that can be proven that he ever did. He didn't rob multiple people. He didn't try to rob multiple people. Like, he's new to this. He just robbed 1 cat and was like, yeah, man, here's the money, right? So he fits everything, right? Except he doesn't have 2 gang shit acts. He only has 1. So the other 4 can get caught up in a RICO case, but not him. He just get caught up for robbing somebody. The other thing is, if any of those predicate acts, right, any of that gang shit was not done to further the scheme, to further the goal of the group. So again, Joe robs that dude that 1 time, right? And he puts that money in the pot. Joe also goes to the store and steals a laptop for his kid, right? And then he goes and burns down his baby's mama's house, right? And then he goes and steals some purses for his new chick, right? So those are all lots of crimes. That's all gang shit, under that list of crimes. But only one thing he did was to further the agenda, further the scheme, further the hustle to get that house with the rest of his homies. Everything else he did was for different reasons. So again, he's only done one act, and that's in furtherance of the scheme, and you have to have two. Okay. So why do I think Young Thug is in so much trouble? Let's go over the charges that I think in the RICO indictment that have him pretty well screwed, right? And so number 4, he got caught with a stolen pistol, right? So he's caught with something, and they know that it's stolen. That's against the law. That counts as gang shit, right? Jeffrey Williams rents the now infamous, from media reports, Silver Infinity that is later used to kill Donovan Thomas, allegedly, right? Who's allegedly a rival gang member. So that's a case of him not doing something illegal, but if he had some understanding of what was going to happen, then he's on the hook too. Charge number 26. Jeffrey Williams is in a video released on social media 16 days after Donovan Thomas is whacked, it dies, stating, no blank, lie to their mama, or so blank, right? The N-word, lie to their mama, lie to their kids, lie to their brothers and sisters, then get right into the courtroom until the God's honest truth, huh? I don't get it. Y'all blanks need to get fucking killed, bro, from me and YSL. Okay, so there's a lot in there that's illegal when you view it in the context of the gang crime and the RICO case, right? And so that whole YSL thing, that's gang shit, right? That's saying he's part of a gang. Charge number 51. Jeffrey Williams, terrorized, committed a terrorist threat to mall security when they told him he couldn't be at the perimeter mall. And he said, if you continue to approach, I'm gonna shoot you in the face with a gun. So that alone is a terroristic threat, but I'm gonna let you guys know what I think the prosecutor's strategy is when we get to the end of this. Charges number 68 through 72, or acts 68 through 72. He's caught with a pistol, he's caught with meth, he's caught with trees, he's caught with Norcos. Allegedly, all those drugs are possession of sales, right? And he's pulled over with somebody else in the car. So all those are separate, right? Because that's all gang shit. Young Thug posts an image on social media and tags Lucci, YFN Lucci. And it says, YFN, if I didn't like what you do for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you, right? So again, that alone could just be hip hop beef. That alone could just be some rap beef, right? Folks woofing to try to boost record sales. Shit happens all the time. But taken in context of everything else, it takes on a different meaning, right? According to the DA. Defendants Huey and Williams, which is, Young Thug, have a conversation where Thug and Huey are discussing vehicle theft, and Thug tells Huey to tell somebody else, if he don't take it back, he gonna die. Okay, it's not a good look. And there's a couple conversations with this dude, Marcavius, I probably pronounced that wrong, Huey. So either Huey was wired for sound, or they had some kind of bug wherever these two talked repeatedly. And so Young Thug and a whole bunch of other people, I'm not going to say everybody's name, had a conversation where Young Thug says, YSL rule the world, kid. 24M on a blank's head. Y'all just start bringing me the money. Man, y'all blank stop playing with me. Remember, this is not rap lyrics. This is a conversation, right? So he's talking and he's telling people, hey, man, I could put money on somebody's head. Bring me my money. Stop playing with me, right? It's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. Another one where Thug, and again, a whole bunch of people had a conversation where Thug asked, y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet? And then says, y'all getting shot. Y'all getting soft, right? So again, think of what I said with the state crimes and with the RICO crimes and what counts, right? And what you can't do and how much time you're looking at under just the gang law for these things. And last one, Young Thug and Huey are talking when Huey says, you know, I'm ready to handle the business and go sit down if I got to about any one of y'all on mamas. Again, overt act, right? So all of these are called overt acts. Now there's tons of social media posts. There's tons of rap lyrics that are in the indictment that everybody's picking up on. And all those things are called overt acts too. And they count in general for this whole YSL argument, then yes, they count. But for Young Thug in particular, that's not super harmful. What is harmful is there's a boatload of charges, right? I mean, a few things are harmful, but there's a boatload of charges. The prosecutors are not going to walk in there and say, you know what, man, he conspired to kill this dude because he rented this Infinity, and then the Infinity allegedly is used to kill him, right? And he's not in the Infinity, but he's tied to it. That's not what they're going to say. They're going to say, look at these pictures. Look at these lyrics. Look at these pictures. Look at these lyrics. Look at all these other guys who are following him, who have YSL tattoos, who throw up these similar signs, who also have beef with the people that he has beef with. See, look at all these people. And then look at what these people are doing, even when he's not around, but they're all part of a group now, right? They're all part of an enterprise, and it's a criminal enterprise because look at what they're doing. These two and these two are robbing people. These two have shot people. These two got priors for this. Those five got priors for that. And so these handful of people that are indicted, they're all linked together by criminal activity, right? And criminal activity while allegedly being under the YSL label, right? Not necessarily as artists, but the state's going to try to say YSL is a gang. It's not a label. And what gets tricky about that is now you could rope in the whole entourage. You know what I mean? Now, if you kicking it and you rep it for your boy and you kind of a hype man or whatever, now you're caught up. Now, you have to be a part of some criminal activity that happened. That criminal activity may have not had anything to do with YSL though. And so some people are going to have that argument. Some people are going to be able to argue, whether successfully or not, I don't know. But some will be able to argue, okay, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I stole that. Yeah, I shot that person. Yeah, I did whatever. But I did not do it for anything that relates to YSL. I did it for personal reasons, right? That dude took advantage of my sister, man, so I shot him in the face. I didn't shoot him in the face to advance this YSL enterprise. I shot him in the face because what he did was out of pocket. You're still going to lose some time, right? But Young Thug, it's hard for him to claim that because if they're quoting words, they have those words recorded, right? So his own words put him in trouble. And so, excuse me, I'd actually worked a case in Santa Clara County, which I'll do a spill on later. But they took a local rap group called Crave Mob. And it was kind of a short-lived San Jose-based underground group, right? And long story short, the guy who formed that rap group winds up going to trial for murder. He never held a gun. He never shot a gun, nothing. And Crave Mob has never been a gang, right? They don't have these big numbers. Everybody within Crave Mob has a prior act of crime, right? A fight at the mall, a robbery, gun possession, dope sales, whatever. So they all have committed crimes, but those crimes are spread out over a period of time and they have nothing to do with Crave Mob, right? And oftentimes, in fact, I think almost every time, those crimes weren't done with anybody else who is now tied to Crave Mob. And so the defense on that was just those things that I outlined. And then they use his rap lyrics. And where they talking about I ride on my enemies and I do all this and they do all that. And so I testified and interpret, those rap lyrics for them and explained how there's no specific target in these. It's these generalized statements, right? He's not recounting any specific acts. There's nothing about these that you could tie to anything else. They're random statements, and they're statements that other people get paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to make, right? But let's look at these dudes' lives. He's a manager at a restaurant. He doesn't have a criminal past except for, some petty stuff years ago, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'll do a spill on that and how it played out. I will tell you this. The jury was laughing at the district attorney by the time my testimony in terms of the rap lyrics was over, because he sounded so foolish. And this really conservative jury in Santa Clara County, for those that know, was like, man, this shit don't make no sense. And the gang allegation was beat. What wound up happening after is crazy, and you guys will hear about it later. Anyways, this is the Homie Hangout. Be a homie. Help others move in excellence. Help yourself at the same time, because you're worth it. Tap into the other content. I break down some other cases. They're in the playlist that I'll link to up there. And it's something that I'm going to do going forward, as well as breaking down some of the cases that I've worked on over the years. And that information, the documents and whatnot, will be up on my Patreon. And so you'll see the link for that in the bio as well. I'm also going to put the link for you to go read the actual indictment itself, because it's actually kind of hard to find online. You just find reports about what it says. But I'm going to shoot it to you, and you can read it all yourself. Anyways, take care, folks. I'll catch you on the next one.